Tesla stock price has taken quite a hammering, but how low can it actually go? Well, I don't know because that's a stock question. So, of course, I've got to bring in an expert. I got Curious Pejjy on the show. How about that? That's exciting. Let's have a conversation. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So, yeah, here we are. Let's see what we got going on, huh? This is going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Looking forward to it. Thank you,
Because
Brian, for bringing me on.
every time we talk about how low can it go, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it keeps going. The thing with Tesla stock, when it goes down hard, but when it goes up, it goes down hard as well. So it's a very interesting stock. And how low can it go is a very good question. Yeah.
Yeah, we shall find out. We shall find out. So, you know, the first question, I mean, what's the first topic on that? Sentiment?
Yeah, well, I mean, with Tesla stock, right now, I mean, this whole year it's been down about 25%, and that has to do with 100% sentiment. That has to do with 100% of Elon apparently not working at Tesla, which is absolutely ridiculous. But you got to take a look at it through who is viewing this. And this is the Wall Street analysts, the institutions, all these big guys with the big bucks. They want to make money in the next 6 to 12 months. So they're not going to wait 5 years like us retail investors, how we see Tesla's going to be played out in 5 years. So they see the margins going down. They see all these. They have bottomed in Q1 though, but they see all this and they're like, you know what? I can probably take that money for the next 6 to 12 months, put it in another stock that can probably outperform. And so that's what they're doing. And on top of that, we had Q1 earnings call that kind of, justified their point by the board saying that, yeah, there's not going to be much growth in 2024, and we're not going to give you a straight guidance. And obviously, Wall Street's analysts and institutions, they want to be spoon fed with all these things. So they didn't get that, and they didn't like that. And as we saw the next day, the stock went down 10%. And here we are today,
Here we
the
are.
stock below 200.
What a bargain. What a bargain. So there's a lot of,
Indeed.
I saw a great misunderstanding in the news. I posted it on X saying Mercedes and Tesla posted about the same profit last year, but Tesla's worth, 20 times more. What in the heck is that about? And I said, well, yes, because Mercedes is committed to building dyno burners forever, and
Oh yeah.
Tesla is not. One company is growing, one is not. One company has other industries in which they're expanding, and the other does not. So the market is always forward looking. So my question is, how many of those other things are already baked into the stock? Let's start with Megapack and stationary storage. How much of that do you think the market has already realized?
At the moment, I would say about 10 to 20% of it, the market has realized it. The thing with mega packs is it's ramping, but the revenues has been pretty much, I mean, it's much better than compared to 2023's, sorry, 2022's. But since every single quarter of 2023, it's been stagnant. It's been like, but the profits has been increasing in those quarters. So what Wall Street is seeing, they're seeing like, and institutions, I go back to those guys because those guys are the ones who pretty much take the stock up or take it down massively. So when they look at it, they go, okay, their earnings is doing well. The profits is growing very nice every single quarter, but it's not growing. But they don't understand that this is a lumpy business. The mega pack is a lumpy business. I think it was a guy named on X. His name was Caron. I forgot. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. But his argument is that actually vehicles and energy are already priced into the stock if you believe that they're going to be scaling out big time, which will be capping out around close to 1 trillion end of this decade. So if you only look at Tesla and if you think they're gonna deliver about 20 million vehicles and they're gonna scale massively with the mega packs, and if you give it a low PE like 20 PE, which is absolutely low for Tesla, then you would get a valuation of around $1 trillion. And at the moment, um, obviously, when you put those two together, it doesn't look like they're putting too much emphasis on energy yet. So To answer that question, I think maybe 20%, 25% max. They're looking at it. Everyone's just looking at the profit margins of just the vehicles and the operating margin, which the energy does have an impact on, but not as much yet. So I would say around 20, 25% would be a good number to justifies the energy into the stock.
Okay. So then we've got FSD and autonomy and robotaxi, all of that. I think some of that was priced in, certainly by retail investors. I don't know how much, if any of it, was priced in by institutionals, but I've seen the way they come up with numbers, and it appears to be the dartboard method where they just write some numbers on the other side of the room and chuck a dart at it and see where it lands. If FSD is delayed, does some of that start getting backed out of today's share price? Are there people who are going to say, look, I like it at 400 if autonomy is solved, but autonomy is not solved. I'm going to sell. I'll get back in later. Is that something we could be facing?
So absolutely with the PE, right now I think the PE is around like 44, 45 PE. Definitely some of the FSD is priced in a little bit, but the problem is majority of the people who are pricing in this FSD, how do you do it? It's hard to look at, like I've done the numbers on every single angle. If you look at when Tesla does solve the FSD and they do deploy throughout all the Teslas all around the world, then in that argument, you can say it's not priced in at all because it's absolutely ridiculous what the jump is going to be, what the valuation is going to be. But I think there are some investors out there that they give it maybe a couple or a few PEs on it to see that, okay, if this thing gets solved, I'm going to price in a little bit of it and let's see how it goes. And if it does get delayed, I do see an impact on the stock short term, but not by so much because everyone is looking at just the margins of the vehicles. If the vehicles, like for example, when they said the growth rate for the vehicles is going to be less in 2024, that took a much bigger hit compared to what they said with FSD, how they said that, yeah, in the next couple of years or so, it didn't make any impact at all. The bot is also an example where, it's showing all these progresses, but I mean, when it comes to pricing something improperly, you must have a number, like a projection of how much is expected per every single year. Like for example, if the FSD is $200 per subscription, great. What's the TAM? Who is it available to? How much are they going to grow year over year? And at the moment, we don't have those numbers or that projection at the moment.
Okay. So
So
then you get to something like bot. Do you think do you think there's any downside risk to bot? It doesn't seem to be a very expensive program. It doesn't, unlike the metaverse, it's not showing up as a line item that is a huge drag on earnings. What is the downside? We know what the upside could be. It could be, I mean, infinity's a big number, but it's close to that. What could the downside be
downside on the stock?
on the bot? Oh yeah, for
Oh,
the
on the
stock,
Okay. So for the stock, I don't think it's priced in at all. I mean, how do you price such a thing in? Like
right?
what format do you go? Like for me, in my evaluation, I don't even price it in. Like how do you do it? Is it each bot going to be costing 10,000, 20,000, or is it going to be based on wages? Because it is going to be, we know it's going to be leased out, but
Right.
how? By what rate? By how much? So it's really hard to see how to price this into the
Sure.
stock.
But that's on the upside. Is there a downside on it? Is there a point where we see that there's some problem with bot or a regulatory issue or some kind of issue with the bot, or there's a big delay and that becomes a drag on the share price where people say, you know what, I was buying into it because of the bot potential and now I don't see it. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. I know some people who invested into Tesla because of the bot and bot only. So if they see that this is not going to happen, it could probably take a hit, but I don't think it's going to be a big hit. No,
Because
I'm not too worried about that.
I would agree that even if they just pulled the plug on the program today, it would not be a big
Yeah,
drawback for the vast majority of investors. Is there
I
any
agree.
other short-term downsides that we could be looking at? What if there's some What if Berlin doesn't get their Model 2 factory? What if that expansion is not approved? Would that create a downside to the stock over the short term?
No, I don't think so because well, we just got the news that Giga Mexico, it looks like they're going to be breaking ground on the 3rd of March. They're still tippy-toeing over that, but it looks like they're going to be starting something on the 3rd of March. So I think that's bullish enough for that. And I think they have, I mean, Berlin isn't even fully ramped up yet. So I don't think it's that important for the second phase of if it's delayed. I don't think it's going to make that much of an impact. What will make a massive impact on the stock is interest rates.
Mm,
If that thing is not going to be going down in the second half of 2024, which I'm betting on, I do think we're going to see some decrease of interest rates in the sometime in the second half of 2024. That could be bad for. I mean, well, Tesla is sensitive to interest rates. So, and a lot of investors are pricing in that, oh, interest rates are going to go down. We're going to see some,
mm.
bounce action for Tesla's valuation after we get the first wave or the first cut from interest rates. I think that would be the biggest um, downturn for the stock, and more price cuts. That's the biggest thing. That's the price cuts is always the biggest thing. Yes, they're bringing down COGS. They're having that massive margin because of that COGS being lowered, but price cuts still, you know very well on X. As soon as a price cut happens, everyone goes crazy. All the bears come out and they say, "Oh, see, nobody wants an EV."
It's ridiculous. And then, of course, the bulls come out and say this wasn't necessary. The newest argument I've seen, and this one is ludicrous, is Tesla should stop cutting prices until others can catch up because the competition's losing too much money. I literally had a comment on YouTube where the guy said they should just pick a factory and close it for 6 months and let everybody else catch up. And I
Oh
said
my God.
that is I don't know who pays you to say these crazy things all day, but they should get a refund because that one was too far.
That's
That's
just ridiculous.
that's slow the EV transition because other people can't make cars profitably enough. They've had enough warning. They've had 20 years they've been on notice and they just chose to ignore it because, for us, it's going to be easy when we decide to do it because we're the smartest people around. And then they try and realize their car is 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds heavier than what Tesla's offering. It's, you know, the Mach-E is 600 pounds heavier and has a 20% bigger battery, but only gets 2% more range. That's not
That's crazy.
that's not
That's
good, you
ridiculous.
guys.
And
And I
and they lose 36,000 per each vehicle they sell from the Mach-E, which is just absolutely it's a sheesh moment. That's what it is.
well, that includes all the R&D and upfront costs. So that it's not I mean, it's not a 36,000 loss per unit, but we know they're not profitable and they don't
Yeah.
and they have no expectation to be. Last I heard was 25 or 26, but that was before the last 2 rounds of price cuts. So,
Jeez.
and I did a story the other day showing how many they've only made 35,000 Lightnings and over 10,000 of them are still sitting on dealer lots.
That's ridiculous.
They've only
That's
made
ridiculous.
107,000 Mach-E's and over 23,000 of them are still sitting on dealer lots. It is concerning to have a substantial percentage of all the cars you've ever built unsold. And a lot of those are 2023 models, and we are 6 months from the 2025 model. So
That's crazy.
those
And
are
it
going to
shows the power of Tesla, of how like they sell pretty much every single unit that they make. I think it's 15, 16 days of supply that Tesla has, which is incredible. It's
I
crazy.
I did see a great bear argument where the guy said Tesla's days of inventory increased by 20%. And I'm like, yeah, but from like 14 days to 17, I mean, it's still a number so low that it's kind of unhealthy. I saw a buyer here in my Northwest group on X who placed an order, got their car, and looked at it and looked at the date of manufacture, and the car was 18 days old. They got their car from build
Wow.
to paid 18 days, and that is the
Wow,
envy of everyone, because all your parts are net 30, which means Tesla hasn't even paid for the parts before they got paid for the car.
that's
That's
crazy.
that's a huge pricing advantage. So that means
Wow.
that puts them in a very good position. Are there any other downsides that could draw the stock down even further in the short term, other than something crazy out of the blue, like a like an Elon departure? I mean, obviously that would create serious chaos. I don't see that
Yeah.
as being, and everyone knows about that one. Is any part of the expected price cuts, rate cuts, already priced in, do you think?
Well, I think some are because when everybody thought for some reason we were going to get an interest rate cut in March, which was ridiculous, and they said that no, we're not going to be doing. The Fed said we're not going to be doing that. When the stock went down, so there was expectation. It was priced in, and I have no doubt that it's probably priced in for the next apparent rate cut, right, which I think it's going to happen. Or not happen, but I think it's estimated for I think it's June or just May or somewhere around there, which that's not gonna happen either. So that'll definitely bring it down. Another thing that could probably bring it down lower is if we just I mean something that not in Elon's control or not in Tesla's control, is just the whole market correcting.
Sure.
Tesla will definitely go down on that, or maybe it'll inverse because Tesla is an inverse stock. When everyone goes down, that goes up, and when everyone goes up, Tesla goes down, which is just hilarious to witness. Elon's tweets sometimes or posts sometimes, sometimes that triggers a sell off.
Yeah.
It could be anything, but personally, I don't think. I mean, it's really hard to guess how low this thing can go, but based on the analysis that I've done, it looks like this year is going to be a recovery year for Tesla in terms of earnings and margins. I just don't see it going lower than 150 in my opinion.
So that
But
so that is the answer, is how low can it go? You see a pretty hard floor at 150,
yeah,
and a series of softer floors at every $5 mark above that.
I mean, sure, yeah. Anywhere between 160, 150, I would say that could be the lowest. But you know what they say, the stocks market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And something could happen, another black swan could happen that no one will ever see, would bring down everybody and probably could take Tesla stock back down to $100. I mean, would the valuation make sense at that? I mean, $300 billion valuation, the same as Toyota.
It
I
gets
mean, I
Yeah.
hope it does so I can buy more and do some calls maybe then, but I don't know.
Okay. So in the comments, guys, what is the lowest you see it going over the next 3 to 6 months? I'm very curious. You guys got to tell us. I don't trade short term, so it doesn't matter that much to me. My horizon is quite long. It's all in my retirement account. I cannot touch it. So, guys, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Head over to find Curious Pejjy on X, on YouTube, on the places. All the links in the description. And everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual things, and stay tuned, stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, when I get Pejjy back again, which may be tomorrow.